Western World of Sports, ahoy! How is everybody doing here? Welcome along to the very first ever Daddy Cash Crowns. The 2023 NRL season in review, giving away my awards. The Dally M's were a farce. I think we can all agree on that. No matter which team you support, no matter who you think your favourite players are, or know your favourite players are, whoever it is, I think we can all agree the Dally M's were a little bit farcical this year, so we need to do something about it. We need to do the Daddy Cash Awards. Vobsy, ahoy there, mate. Of course, members only mode is on in the chat room, which means it's going to be a pretty quiet night, but that's, you know, I decided I have to give something back. You know, channel memberships are not expensive here on Wasted World of Sports, but it's not about that. It's about you know, just being part. If you've been part of the channel for a certain period of time, it's time for me to give something back. And I've promised for a long time to do some like members / long-time subscribers only things. And it's about time I actually did one. So that's what's happening here tonight with the Daddy Cash Crowns. Vobsy, Shack of Hearts, UFC, welcome along there to the chat room. Now, I'm going to, just because I'm feeling very generous tonight, and I hope that this is fine with existing channel members, sing out, I will give you, it's probably about a 30-second delay on most YouTube live streams, so I will give you 30 seconds to let me know if this is unacceptable. But what I'm thinking of doing is another channel membership giveaway, because we're looking to grow things here. We want to form a nice big community for our actual game live streams and for this sort of post-game stuff as well. All this fun stuff. So now is the time as channel members to sing out and say, "This is unacceptable, Dan. I've paid my $1.50 a month for channel membership, and these people are getting it for free. I am against this." So I'll give you about 30 seconds to do that. Otherwise, I will do, I mean, not that anyone's here to accept it at the moment, to be honest, but apart from you guys who are already part of it, which is fine. So maybe we should just bang on with things. The Daddy Cash Crowns. Yes, so the whole idea, the whole concept behind this is just to do a little bit of a members-only live stream and talk about the farce that were the Dally M's and do a little bit of a season review. Usually these sorts of things are kind of pre-planned. More thought goes into it, but you know me. You guys have spent enough time with me now to know that pre-planning and thought and all that, it's not really my bag. I kind of like to go off the cuff. I let life take me wherever life takes me. I mean, what you see on screen as well, this is how I am just in general life as well. See where the wind takes me. I don't really like to plan things. That's what's made this so difficult as well, just quietly. Like, the fact that doing live streams for the sports is you are very much dictated to by the scheduling of the sports body. That makes it very difficult for someone like me who just likes to fly with the wind. It's like, okay, well, if I want to cover the game tonight, I kind of have to be available at 7 o'clock, don't I? If I want to do the rugby union quarterfinals, I kind of have to. Like, they don't wait for me. So maybe that's a good thing, because it means consistency. It means that we actually get these things done. So 2023 was fun, though. I mean, am I right, chat room? There's very few of you, so you I might run out of things to say. I'm kind of, it's a Futurama Captain Zap Brannigan, like, Kiff, we have a conundrum. It's like, okay, I've chosen a stream that is very highly reliant on interaction. as a members-only stream, and obviously we're a small channel, and we have only so many channel members, so it's like a lot of you probably like to sit back and just, hey, we'll let Dan do all the talking. It's fine. But this is a stream that is somewhat reliant on interaction. So, yeah, look, hopefully I bring some of you out of your shells tonight. And we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Just a little 2023 season in review. We're going to talk about all things that happened throughout the year. A reflection of sorts, some of the predictions that were made at the start of the year, compare them to how the season actually eventuated, and the Dally M Awards. My God, I mean, there's only so much I can say about the bloody Dally M Awards. Awful, awful. I mean, anyway, we'll get into that. And, of course, we'll talk about State of Origin. State of Origin being a very big thing, of course. State of Origin's a massive thing in the context of rugby league, and there is reportedly a New South Wales coach appointed to replace Freddie Fittler. It's not who I would have gone with, but apparently it's been reported a decision has been made, and we'll take a look into the crystal ball for season 2024, and we'll see what potentially lies ahead. So, all that coming up here. Wasted World of Sports. Danny Cash Awards. New South Wales will never win again, says Vopsy. Well, we may as well, since we've sort of led into that. Oh, Shack of Heart says, are you going to do joke awards, or is this a serious take? Some of what I say will probably come across as a joke, I'm sure. But I'd like to think it's somewhat serious. I don't know, as serious as I can be. Me being me, after all. At the end of the day, I'm still me, and take that for what it's worth. But yeah, I mean, it's meant to be somewhat serious, but we'll see. I mean, I'm sure that it's one of those things, like when you talk about the best, whether it be the best team, whether it be the best player. I mean, nobody's ever going to agree fully. I mean, we did, throughout the course of 2023, we did on quite a few streams trying to pick the New South Wales State of Origin squad, and not everybody could agree on that. We tried to pick premiership favourites. Not everybody could agree on that. So I mean, some of what I say should be taken with tongue firmly planted in cheek, but ultimately, yeah, I mean, it's semi-serious, at least semi-serious. Yeah, I'm not trying to bollocks about too much, but at the end of the day, it is what it is too. So we'll see. I just think that I will do better than the actual Dally M Awards. Safe to say that if you're a Broncos fan, you'll probably think I'm taking the piss. That's pretty safe to go ahead and assume. I would dare say. Yes. Oh God. Well, speaking of that, I suppose we may as well jump straight into the grand final. Speaking of the Broncos, okay. Let's talk about season 2023 NRL. Things that I got right and things that I got wrong. I may as well jump straight in, give myself an uppercut for things that I got wrong. I had predicted that the Broncos were once again going to drop off a cliff. Now, there does need to be a little asterisk here, and this Shack of Hearts is where the Broncos fans may think that I'm taking the piss, but there does need to be an asterisk for the Broncos season. Let's be honest. They had so many games at home. And what I consider to be a home game as well is if it's an away game that's still in Queensland. It's not necessarily at Suncorp, so it's not home, but still, like, they've had to go up the road where the opposition has had to go interstate. I still consider that a home game. So when I made the prediction that the Broncos would be nowhere near the grand final and they would fall off the face of the earth just like they did last year, I hadn't really taken into account that they were going to get 72 games at Suncorp throughout the course of the season. So I may or may not be prone to exaggeration, but I did. UFC, the Cowboys. We'll get to the Cowboys. Don't you worry, UFC. We will get to the Cowboys and other teams. We'll start. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, though. Let's start with things that I got horribly wrong. I got horribly wrong. The Broncos got to the grand final, and asterisks aside, you can only play what's in front of you, and they played what was in front of them almost immaculately. So credit where credit is due. Oh, God, that hurt. That hurt my heart to actually say that. But credit where credit is due to the Broncos. I raised my hand. I give myself an uppercut. I got that one horribly wrong. The Broncos falling off the face of the earth. They didn't. They made it all the way to the grand final, and they probably came within 5 minutes of actually winning the whole competition. Yes, asterisks. But still, they did what they did, and look, congratulations to them. At the end of the day, they just weren't quite good enough. So things that I got wrong also throughout the course of the year, I had actually predicted at the start the Knights for the wooden spoon. Again, I'm going to save face here by saying it deserves an asterisk. When I made that prediction, I didn't do my due diligence, and I didn't see that the Knights would be second only to the Broncos in terms of a dream run of home games. I mean, my God, the back end of the season, the Knights were just always Sunday afternoon in Newcastle. I'm like, do these guys ever get an away game? Ever? I was getting to the point where I actually had to look up and see who has had this the easiest, the Broncos or the Knights. It was still the Broncos, by the way. Just if anyone's curious, it was still the Broncos. But bloody the Knights, I had them pegged for the wooden spoon. A couple of things that they changed. Well, there was a reason I picked them for the wooden spoon, and that is because in the preseason, they had said Kalen Ponga would be playing 5'8". They were going to move Ponga from fullback to 5'8", which I thought was just an atrocious decision. And they really did suck at the start of the year, the Knights. Let's be honest. They looked down and out. Maybe they still wouldn't have got the wooden spoon, but let's be honest, they looked down and out. They were atrocious. They moved Kalen Ponga back to fullback where he belongs. And then on top of all those Sunday afternoon games at home, turned their season around. So that was another one that I got horribly wrong. Haven't missed your comment there, Connor Crowley. Welcome along, mate. Haven't missed it. Just we're discussing something else at the moment. I apologize. We will get to that. So that was something. Yeah, that was another thing. Terribly, terribly wrong. The bloody Knights that I had pegged for the dead set certs for the wooden spoon, I thought. And no, they went on a run and they made it all the way to the finals. Things that I got absolutely bang on correct. Now is the time I get to talk myself up a little bit. Things that I absolutely smashed. Nailed it. Rabbitohs. Oh, God. If anyone was around for some of those early streams, you would have missed some big arguments between Michelle and I about the prospect of the Rabbitohs, because she bought into it just like a lot of people did. All the pundits on Fox Sports and their narrative and Channel 9 and everything, about a quarter of the way through the season, towards the halfway point in the lead up to Origin, people had the Rabbitohs as premiership favourites. And I scoffed. I laughed. I said, what are they even talking about? The Rabbitohs are no chance of the premiership. They will be nowhere near the premiership. And that is one that I absolutely nailed. Because, by God, did the Rabbitohs, or did not the Rabbitohs, completely fall off the face of the planet? not even making the top 8. And it was a sight to behold. So many people had, for whatever reason, the Rabbitohs as premiership favourites throughout the course of the season. I never once understood it. I really didn't. I never got it. I couldn't understand why people were even saying it. But I got that one right. I was right about that monitor being a terrorist. This goddamn thing, seriously. Okay. It's quite a mess at the moment, my studio, so I won't do like a behind-the-scenes tour or anything. But this monitor, I swear to God, I'll swivel it around. You can actually see. Okay. Whoops, I just nearly destroyed everything. This is as far as I can shimmy it around, but there is the top of the monitor. I'll lift it up. Okay. If I lift it up, you can kind of get a bit more of an appreciation of the size of this thing, essentially. You know what? I'll actually just move the camera ever so slightly. I'll give you a cheeky little look behind the scenes there at the size of this bastard. This is what I have to go through. Yeah. Look at the size of this bugger. Anyways, and what I'm suspecting is that what I'm suspecting is that I might be overweight capacity on that monitor stand. So I might have to just invest in a new monitor stand for that one there. It could be potentially just a wee bit over capacity. That could be the problem there. But yeah, that's the thing there. I mean, it's not meant to be. It's honestly not meant to be. But that's what I'm dealing with. That big bugger. Like, look, I'm actually out of breath lifting it back up. You might not be able to appreciate it on the screen there, but yeah, the big bust of a thing always falling over. Anyway, I'll try and sort that out for next season, but we'll see what happens with that. Unbelievable. All right, what was I talking about? Oh, things that I was right about, things that I was wrong about. So, yeah, obviously I got the Rabbitohs bang on correct. Obviously, the other thing that I got correct was Panthers. I'd been saying from round 1, even when the Panthers lost in round 1, unexpectedly, to the Broncos, funnily enough, the Panthers lost a couple of games early on. But I still said there's a reason for that. They had the biggest representation in the Rugby League World Cup. They had the longest off-season than any other team, so it's going to take them some time to get into it. But I stood firm from round 1 all the way through. There was not a single point throughout the course of the season where I didn't say Panthers for the premiership. Panthers won the premiership. So that was one I've got right from start to finish. So if you followed me for that one, you came out quite well at the end of it. I predicted Queensland to win Origin in a clean sweep. Didn't quite happen. New South Wales did win the dead rubber. It's very hard to get yourself up for a dead rubber, though. It really is. I mean, people don't appreciate that. People don't appreciate how difficult it is to sweep a series. So you can't fault Queensland for that. Obviously, the team that's on the brink of a clean sweep has more to play for. It's just that simple. You just don't. If you've ever been involved in anything competitive in your life, whether it be sports or video games or anything, it can apply to absolutely anything. That if you've already won, you've got less to play for. The team that's potentially on the receiving end of the sweep has very little to play for. So it's hard to get a clean sweep. That said, I did think Queensland were going to get the sweep this season. They didn't. So that's another thing that I got wrong. Cowboys. Who brought up the Cowboys? UFC. UFC only fans. Yes. before there was a single ball kicked off in season 2023, I was looking at the draw and I thought the Cowboys, if any team had it easier than the Broncos this season, it was honestly the Cowboys. The Cowboys will be absolutely kicking themselves that they missed the playoffs this season. They had such an easy draw. I mean, words cannot describe how easy the Cowboys' draw was in season 2023, and they just completely balls it up. Before a single ball was kicked off, I would have said two things were dead set certain. The Panthers to win the premiership, which I got right, and the Cowboys to at least make the 8, because they had such a dream run. The teams that they played twice were all bottom half of the table teams. The teams that they had to play that were top 8 teams, they got them all, pretty much all, at home. Dream run, and they will be kicking themselves, the Cowboys, that they didn't make the playoffs. They had such a dream run. If you look back over the draw, I mean, we can actually do it just to justify my statement, just to back myself up a little bit here. We can actually have a look at the Cowboys draw, and you tell me if you disagree that this was not a piece of piss and the Cowboys should have been in the bloody playoffs. If you just look at this in perspective, okay, based on what happened in 2022 and going into 2023. So, Cowboys, home against the Raiders. Suncorp against the Broncos, of course, because it was the Broncos. Home against the Titans. Away against the Bulldogs. And they cocked that one up. They should have won that, the Cowboys. 15 points to 14, they lost that. But there's one that they'll be kicking themselves about early on. Home against the Dolphins, which they lost. They should have won that. Away against the Warriors. Okay, in the benefit of hindsight, maybe you can say the Warriors, especially at home, were a decent team this year. But we're talking about before a ball had even been kicked off, you would be eyeing off Cowboys versus Warriors and saying Cowboys should win that. Cowboys home versus the Knights. Away against the Sharks, away against the Roosters, home against the Dragons, away against the Tigers. And that's the game that they lost 66 points to 18, by the way. Away against the Eels, home against the Storm. Then they got a bye. Home against the Panthers, away against Souths, home against the Tigers again, another bye. Away against Manly, home against the Eels, away against the Titans, home against the Broncos, home against the Sharks, another bye. Away against the Dolphins, and away against the Panthers. So the games that they had against other... Okay, they went away against the Panthers, and they had a home game against the Panthers. So, yep, that was a double up. The Sharks don't count because they're not a threat. The Broncos don't really count. It's all in Queensland. But, you know, they got the Eels at home. They got the Storm at home. The Warriors is a game that they should have won. They'll be kicking themselves over that. So, you know, before a game had even been kicked off, we were sort of looking at the draw and going, yep, okay, Cowboys should do well this season. They should. They'll be extremely disappointed. UFC Only Fam says you are also right about France, Ireland, South Africa, and New Zealand doing well in the Rugby World Cup, which is a whole other beast, the Rugby World Cup. A complete and total new beast. Well, two of those teams will be gone this weekend. Funnily enough, that's the way that the Rugby World Cup works. Two of those teams will be gone, which is a shame because they should go deeper into the playoffs. Really, all of those teams. It is what it is, though. Can't really argue the point. Can't really complain about it too much. it just is what it is. That's the way that they have always run things. That's how it's run. So, what can you do about it? So that's so there we go. That's what I got right. That's what I got wrong throughout the course of this season. State of Origin. Didn't quite get the clean sweep that I predicted, thankfully. I mean, I didn't want it to happen. Of course, I go for New South Wales. I didn't want it to happen. Freddie Fittler's been moved on, or he's moved himself on. It's hard to know what actually happened. Did he get fired or did he quit? That'll forever be the argument. Like a sour relationship, the argument goes on long after the fact. The two people have been broken up. I broke up with you. No, I broke up with you. I was the one that broke it. No, I was the one that broke it off. That's the relationship between Freddie Fittler and the New South Wales Rugby League at the moment. Did he quit or was he pushed? Who knows? But either way, there will be a new coach for the Blues. Rumour has it, or reports have it, it's going to be Michael Maguire. Why? What is this going to achieve? I don't understand it. What will this accomplish? I don't think this is the answer. Okay, so coaching, I suppose, to look at the positives, coaching is a thing of its own, isn't it? Coaching's a thing of its own. So I don't necessarily buy into the argument that, well, Michael Maguire, he's not ever played Origin. He's not, like, how can he understand Origin? How can you understand what it takes for Origin level if you've never participated in it? And I do get that argument to a certain degree. And that's why I actually said there's a short available on the channel where I actually said Jeff Tuvey for New South Wales coach. Tuvs. There needs to be an investigation into why Tuvey's not been mentioned as the coach. I suspect maybe he was asked and he ruled himself out. A lot of former players ruled themselves out, didn't they? And Michael Maguire's just sort of there like, hello, I'll do it. I'll take the money. But it's hard to imagine that he gets it. I'm happy to be proven wrong. As a New South Wales Blues supporter, I'm more than happy to be proven wrong. But I just don't see how it happens. How does it happen? How does he instill that Origin mindset when, I don't know, maybe I'm being too harsh. I mean, coaching is coaching. You instill a toughness and a desire into your players. But I just think having not been involved in that system in any capacity, how does he now come in and make the players buy into what's... I mean, that's what was so good about that. Billy Slater had never coached before a game with grown adults. So he's probably coached under 10s or something. That doesn't count. That doesn't count at all. But he's played and understands Origin. Alfie Langer, Jonathan Thurston, Cameron Smith, like all these players that are in and around the coaching structure played and understood Origin. They don't necessarily need any coaching experience. They just come in and they get it. So what happened with Freddie Fittler? Freddie Fittler, in my opinion, has never been a good coach. He's a little bit too out there in my mind. He never quite got the job done. There was definitely... the Queensland team was not strong. Freddie Fittler should really have won every series. Maybe not this year. This year, Queensland have rebounded. This year, Queensland rebounded. They've rebuilt, and it was a very strong Queensland team that we saw in State of Origin this year. But in all the years prior, Freddie Fittler should have had a 100% success rate. I'm not talking about games, I'm talking about series. Yes, you are going to drop an odd game or two. As I said, it's hard to get yourself up for a dead rubber. It really is. It's hard to get up and win a dead rubber. But he should have had a 100% success rate. I don't think that's unfair to say that he should have had a 100% success rate in series for what he was coaching. For the period of time he was coaching, should have been 100%. But anyway, we'll see what next year brings. State of Origin, there will be a new coach, some new ideas, hopefully some new players. I mean, one of the big areas that Freddie always would fall over is selections. Terrible selector. I can't really speak for him as a coach, but as a selector, atrocious. So we'll see a new squad, a new coach, some new ideas brought in. We'll see what happens. All right, so as promised, I didn't see any... what's the word? I didn't see any objections to this, so we'll do a channel membership giveaway, another one, second of the night. Try and bring some new channel members in to the Wasted World of Sports family. We'll see. I don't think... Oh, well, there we go. Alurus, ahoy there. Blossom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What the... bloody hell was that? Ah! It's just the channel alerts. There we go. One, two, three, four, five. Boom. Gone, just like that. So, we have... that's going through doing its thing. So we have a situation now where the Blues might have a coach that just doesn't, at the end of the day, just doesn't have the right passion. But we'll see. Time will tell. Next year will tell the story, won't it? So, yes. All right. On to the main event of the evening, I suppose. The Daddy Cash Crowns. I will have a quick break, and there'll be no music or anything. I'm just actually going to go pee. I'll be right back. All right, let's go. Let's hammer this out. The Wasted World of Sports, Daddy Cash Crowns. Because the Dally M Awards happened, of course, and they were atrocious. Terrible they were. Big question marks over quite a few of the winners, in my personal, humble opinion. So what we're going to do is we're just going to quickly run through... We'll run through the Dally M nominees, and I'll overrule this entire thing if I need to. I absolutely will overrule the entire thing. If I feel the need to overrule the entire thing, I will bloody overrule it. It's that simple. But I think for the most part, the nominees were all good. It was just... I'm not interested in tackle of the year, try of the year, or anything. But let's start with rookie of the year. And this is one I feel like once again, here we are. The nominees were perfect. Just don't know if we necessarily landed on the correct winner. So the nominees, and let's update the lower third here. So we're going to talk right now about my apologies for that. Okay. We're going to talk rookie of the year. That's what we've got going on right now. Our first award, Rookie of the Year. Now, I believe it was actually won by Sonny Taruva. Now, he's definitely in the conversation, Taruva. Definitely. I mean, there's absolutely no reason why he wouldn't be in the conversation. Because he had an outstanding year. Taruva. Absolutely immaculate. I mean, coming into the Panthers squad, replacing an outgoing player. Actually, he replaced an injured player. He wasn't even meant to be there, Sonny Taruva. But he's there, and he made the most of it, and he had an immaculate season. But when I'm looking at the winner of this award, I have to kind of take into account, okay, the thing is, Sonny Taruva was at the end of that Panthers backline. If you are playing in your debut season, your rookie season, where do you want to be? Okay? Let's have a look at the nominees for Rookie of the Year. Sonny Taruva, Panthers. Will Warbrick for the Melbourne Storm. Jareem Buller for the West Tigers. Now, if you're in your debut season, your first year, do you want to be at the end of the Penrith Panthers backline? Do you want to be at the end of the Melbourne Storm backline? If you had a choice. Or are you going to line up at fullback for the West Tigers? God damn it, if I'm not choosing the end of the Panthers backline, my second choice is going to be the edge of the Melbourne Storm backline. And that's why, in my opinion, Jareem Buller, a standout Danny Cash Crown Rookie of the Year. Where's the applause? Well, applause. Applause for... Oh, there it is. Okay, yeah, it was a bit delayed. It was a little bit delayed. Apologies for that. Applause for Jareem Buller. In my opinion, he should have won the goddamn thing because Sonny Taruva had a standout year, but, I mean, who's not going to have a standout year at the back end of that Panthers backline? Seriously. So, Rookie of the Year in the Daddy Cash Crowns, the real Dally M's, Jareem Buller from the West Tigers gets the win. So there we go. That's the Rookie of the Year. Captain of the Year, I don't particularly care, but let's have a look at it anyway. Captain of the Year. Not something I particularly care about. Not an award that I care too much about, but Captain of the Year, Adam Reynolds, Tohu Harris, Isaiah Yeo. I believe Adam Reynolds got it. I don't understand how, though. Like, honestly, we've got to weigh this up. We have to weigh this up. And this will lead into the next category as well, in all honesty. It'll lead into Coach of the Year. But starting Captain of the Year, I'm pretty sure it went to Adam Reynolds, which was a little bit farcical in my mind. Because and we go back to what we were talking about earlier. Okay, the Broncos had about 84 games at Suncorp, about 96 games of the entire season in Queensland. I mean, questions had to be asked harder about the Broncos if they didn't make it as far as they made it this season. It's actually a shambles that they didn't win the whole thing. I mean, honestly, we know that I'm not exactly the biggest fan of the Broncos, okay? That's not really been a secret here at the Wasted World of Sports. It really hasn't been. But I don't understand. I mean, captain of the year to me is you lead your team from an absolute hiding to nothing. You lead them through. You win games that you shouldn't win because of decisions that you've made or things that you've been part of to dictate terms in a game. That doesn't happen if you've got 94% of your games played at home. I mean, home ground advantage is a thing for a reason. It's an actual legitimate thing in sports, and it can't be underestimated. And I have to factor that into decisions that I make here tonight. And that's why I can't give it to Adam Reynolds. Reynolds has been an absolute godsend to the Broncos. Don't get me wrong. He really has been. But when you play 99% of your games at home throughout the course of the season, 99.9% of the final series played at home at Suncorp, I can't give you the award because you're expected to win those games. What impressed me? Isaiah Yeo is obviously a great captain. Isaiah Yeo shares those duties at the Panthers. Isaiah Yeo gets listed as the captain, obviously, quite frequently. You can't tell me that Nathan Cleary doesn't have a lot of shtick and a lot of say at that club. So I can't quite give it to Isaiah Yeo. I have to say the person out of those nominees that was on the hiding to nothing and made chicken salad out of chicken shit, as they say, I am giving Captain of the Year to Tohu Harris. Okay, the Warriors didn't quite get the job done, but Captain of the Year is not about winning the premiership. If it was, hands down, it goes straight to Isaiah Yeo. No, it's about taking a ragtag team of misfits. We see movies about it all the time. The team that should not have been there, but they were led there. And you've got to give a lot of that to the captaincy. And Captain of the Year for mine, Tohu Harris. Let's have a round of applause. Tohu Harris, Daddy Cash Crown, Captain of the Year. UFC Only Fams, speaking of Adam Reynolds, says he also arguably lost them the grand final in the last 10 minutes. Kicked the ball out on the full and missed the tackle on Cleary. Yeah, also, we'll get to it a little bit later as well, UFC, but let's not underestimate Reece Walsh's influence on the Broncos losing the grand final. So, yes, Adam Reynolds should have made the tackle. Let's call it 50-50 because, yes, Reynolds should have made the tackle on Cleary, but Reece Walsh should also have been in position. There goes that terrorist of a monitor again for the second time tonight. That one actually legitimately scared the bollocks out of me. I wasn't ready for that one. Reece Walsh should have been in position as well. But anyways, we'll get to that. We'll get to. Don't you worry. We'll get to Reece Walsh in one of the Joke Awards coming up later on. So there we go. Rookie of the Year, Jareem Buller. Captain of the Year, for me, Tohu Harris. I don't understand how Adam Reynolds got that. I really don't. I mean, and that segues perfectly, I suppose, into Coach of the Year. Coach of the Year. Because we have a very, very similar argument incoming from me. So, Coach of the Year, Kevy Walters, Andrew Webster, Ivan Cleary. Look, Coach of the Year for mine is probably, realistically, Ivan Cleary. Ivan Cleary gets it, hands down. I mean, 4 grand finals in a row, winning 3 of them. How can you suggest that he is not the best coach in the game at the moment? But if we want to talk about the troops available, the draw, just circumstances, if we go by that same argument that I used for Captain of the Year, then I'm more than happy for Andrew Webster from the Warriors for Coach of the Year. Applause. I'm not going to... No graphics or anything for that. I don't really want to go searching for a graphic for Andrew Webster or Ivan Cleary. Either one of them could have won that, and I'm more than happy. As long as Kevin Walters didn't win, I think it would have been a bloody shambles if it goes to Kevin Walters, in all honesty. Kevin Walters, with 90% of the games at home at Suncorp, you should be winning most of those, I'm sorry. So nothing from the Broncos this season convinced me that captain or coach should be anywhere near these awards, in all honesty. But a very quick one there. Coach of the Year, I mean, realistically, hard to go past Ivan Cleary. But if you want to argue it and say, well, he's got clearly the best team available to him, well, okay, fair enough. To appease everybody, clear as day, Andrew Webster gets that then. Because the Warriors should... I mean, you look at the Warriors at the start of the season, they shouldn't have been anywhere near that. Captain and coach and playmaker, and we'll get to that. That's coming up at Halfback of the Year. Captain, coach, playmaker, lifting the team way above where they should have been. But anyways, lock of the year. Lock of the year. This is where I'm actually going to, believe it or not, this is where I'm going to give a lot of credit to the Broncos. And I've just given away the result, I suppose, with that. I've given away the result. But lock of the year, I'm taking into consideration state of origin as well and representative level. So that does factor into my decision here, because whilst Isaiah Yeo has obviously been a phenomenal player, Tohu Harris, we've spoken about his effect on the Warriors, and that's why I gave him the nod for Captain of the Year. But I don't think Tohu Harris, even though I gave him the nod for Captain of the Year, I don't think he was necessarily the best player. Isaiah Yeo, a better player, but I think if you want to talk about influence on a game, Isaiah Yeo was quiet by his own high standards, and that's where the difference comes in this one. Lock of the year. Isaiah Yeo has set a very large bar for himself, and arguably he didn't come up to it this season, especially at representative level. Patrick Carrigan owned him at Origin time, outplayed him, and I think, honestly, Carrigan for the Broncos has to get the nod for me. I think he might have actually won it legitimately as well, the actual Dally M's. So this might go down as one that I actually agree with. Yes. Yes. I can't really argue that one. Carrigan was extremely influential in the Broncos season, and credit where credit is due. Yes, indeed. Well done there, Pat Carrigan. That's one I absolutely do agree with. if indeed it went that way. Okay, so second row of the year. We've got to pick 2 winners for this. We're picking 2 winners for this one. The second row of the year. So the nominees were Liam Martin for the Panthers, Payne in the Haas for the Broncos, James Fisher-Harris, Nelson Asofa Solomona, Jake Trbojevic, Adam Fanua-Blake. Okay, this is probably the easiest one of all to pick, in all honesty. I mean, the first name on the sheet, without a doubt. You could argue about who's first on the sheet, but second row of the year, hands down, no question this man is there. You can probably argue about whether he's first or second. In my mind, first. He's one of the first. If I'm picking a team, if I've got free reign over the entire competition and I can pick a team out of anybody, he's one of the first names that I'm putting on the paper, Liam Martin. That is a man you want in your team. He's getting picked no matter what. Cameron Murray, absolutely underrated. Probably should have been there, in all honesty. I think that the way that Souths sort of fell off the planet. Let's give an honor. Hey, I agree, UFC. I completely agree. 100%. We are going to break the rules a little bit here, and we are going to give him a special honourable mention. I do apologise, he's not in his Souths jersey because I wasn't really prepared. I'm going off the cuff for this. I just don't want to give too many awards to Broncos players, I think that's what we've become here. That's what has happened here at the Wasted World of Sports. I've been convinced to not hand out too many awards to Broncos players. No, seriously. As I said, a very honourable mention to Cameron Murray, but hands down, Liam Martin is, in my mind, first name on the sheet there. And second name on the sheet. I mean, they were both well and truly up there. So, honourable mention to Cameron Murray, but yeah, we've got to say Liam Martin, Payne Haas, the second rowers. I mean, sorry. Prop. I threw them both in the second rower category, and I apologise for that. It was meant to be second rower of the year and then prop of the year. I got myself confused because my whole thing was they're going to be the first two. They're going to be the first two players on a team sheet. If I'm picking a team, these are the first two guys that I put. I completely confused the bollocks out of myself and screwed it up. All right, let me quickly try and save face and update the lower third. Prop of the year. There we go. Hands down, prop of the year, Payne Haas. I'm so sorry about that. I completely ballsed that up. Ah, God. There were two winners as well in the actual Dally M's. I'm only doing one because I can't be asked. Ah, God. But yes, UFC, I stand firm. Cameron Murray, completely underrated player. Absolutely. Totally underrated. All right, let's quickly jump over Hooker. Hooker of the year. Nominees for the actual Dally M's were Wade Egan from the Warriors, Api Coruscant from the Tigers, Harry Grant from the Storm. Honestly, Harry Grant had one of the worst seasons that I recall him having. We want to talk about influence on a team. Okay, it's very easy to be the best hooker in the game when you're playing for the Panthers. It's very easy to be a quality hooker when you're playing behind a good pack. And that's why, for mine, Api Coruscant, I mean, he led the team to victory so many times, single-handedly. Took the ball by the scruff of the neck. Single-handedly won the Tigers so many games throughout the course of the year. Coruscant leaving a champion club like the Panthers would not be easy. Players have done it. Matt Burton, Kickow, Capewell. They've left the Panthers and not really gone on to live up to the same heights that they set, the same standards that they set. One player who has moved on and can hold his head extremely high, who still plays to an extremely high standard, in my opinion, Api Coruscant, was one of the standout players for the Tigers this year. And as a matter of fact, were it not for our chosen Rookie of the Year, Jareem Buller is probably the Tigers Player of the Year overall. But definitely, for mine, Hooker of the Year, Api Coruscant. Halfback. Now this is where things get very debatable. Halfback. I can't spell properly. I still can't spell properly. There we go. This is where things get very debatable, don't they? Because there's people that just really, really dislike the Panthers, and therefore really, really dislike Nathan Cleary. Now, there is a very solid argument to be made for Nathan Cleary. Cherry Evans has been nominated. I guess they just needed a third nominee, really. They just needed a third person in there. I think that's the only reason that Cherry Evans is in there, because he certainly wouldn't have been in discussions in my mind. But and Shaun Johnson from the Warriors. Once again, I have to say, okay, the Panthers, for the most part, did not have their greatest season. Yes, they won. They won the minor premiership. They came back from the dead to win the grand final. But honestly, in my mind, they should have won comprehensively. I mean, they should have been... They probably should have had the minor premiership wrapped up weeks in advance, is what I'm saying. Minor premiership wrapped up. They probably should have won the grand final by about 20 points. The Broncos shouldn't have even got close, let alone be in the position where we're talking about the Broncos choked and completely dropped the prize. So, by the Panthers' own high standards, I have to take the whole season, the season overall, I have to take into consideration, and that is why I have to give the Danny Cash crown for Halfback of the Year to Shaun Johnson, as much as it pains me, because the son of a bitch didn't do anything when he came to play for the Sharks. Goddamn son of a bitch. But he has had a standout year for the Warriors. And congratulations to him. Going back home, controlling the ship, piloting that ragtag team into the playoffs. They didn't quite get the job done, but season overall, I have to look at the first half of the season for the Panthers, and it makes it very difficult to give too many awards out to their players just based on their high standards. I mean, you can look at the grand final comeback in isolation and go, Nathan Cleary, Halfback of the Year. But looking at the season overall, it's probably hard to argue that Shaun Johnson was a standout player in his position. Very hard to argue. So straight into 5/8 of the year. From halfback to 5/8. Nominees were Ezra Mam from the Broncos, Cameron Munster from the Storm for some reason, and Cody Walker from the Rabbitohs for some reason. I mean, I don't even know how those nominees, how did they come up with them? Honestly. I mean, first of all, Cameron Munster and Cody Walker both, and I think they'll be honest enough. They'll be honest enough blokes to say, to their own standards, they both had shocking years. Terrible seasons. Luke Metcalf, for mine, is one that didn't get nominated that probably should be in the conversation. Jerome Luai didn't have the greatest of years, but okay, he was better than Munster and Walker all season. Come on. I don't understand how we came up with these three. And so, at least that made the decision extremely easy. So that's something, because it probably should have been a more difficult decision when you're talking about the best of the best and the best players in their respective positions. But if these are the nominees that we've got to work with, then it's hands down. The man single-handedly almost won the bloody premiership for the Broncos. I mean, okay, I say single-handedly, but single-handedly on the back of 99.9% of the games at Suncorp this season played at home. It was theirs for the taking, but Ezra Mam, 5/8 of the year, severely underpaid. Talk about somebody who is well and truly in the conversation for a serious upgrade in paycheck. There's your man right there. 5/8 of the year, Ezra Mam, I think, in the nominees available, hands down, not even in question. Ezra Mam, there we go. A real standout year. Standout year. Congratulations to him. Very good job. Centre of the year. Okay, there were 2 winners in the actual Dally M's. I don't believe in 2 winners for a prize. Ever. So I'm only going to give away 1. The nominees were Stephen Crichton, Bradman Best, Katoni Staggs, Campbell Graham, Herbie Farnworth, and Isaac Tungo. Honestly, don't understand how Tungo even gets in the conversation. Someone will have to seriously explain that to me. I don't understand how Katoni Staggs gets in the conversation. Bradman Best had a very good post-origin period, but if we're talking about the season overall, he can't be in the conversation. He had a great back end of the year, though, don't get me wrong. I can understand why he was nominated, but the Daddy Cash crowns take into account the season whole. You can't just have half a good year. You've got to have a very solid season overall. And that's one thing that you'll notice about all the players that I've picked tonight, is that the season overall has been solid. They haven't just had moments that get them into the conversation or factor them into the equation. They've had good seasons overall, even if they haven't been from a winning team. So Campbell Graham gets an honourable mention, but I think by his own high standards, there were some glaring errors, especially defensively, from Campbell Graham this season. Herbie Farnworth and Isaac Tungo, don't understand how they're even there. So let's chop those 2 off immediately. Katoni Staggs, forget about him. So Campbell Graham, Bradman Best, Stephen Crichton. I think when you're talking about those 3, we have to factor in all things. It's a pretty simple answer. Stephen Crichton for mine. Round of applause there. Stephen Crichton, centre of the year. Stephen Crichton, in his final year as a Panther, before he becomes a Bulldog, has had an absolute standout season, in my opinion. An absolute standout season. Stephen Crichton, Centre of the Year. It's going to be very interesting to see him now move out of this Panthers system and over to the Bulldogs. And can he live up to these standards that he set, where I think, honestly, he was just far and away the best Centre of the Year. Let's move on further out. Let's go to the wing. Winger. The Winger of the Year. Once again, there were 2 winners in the actual Dally M's. I can't do it. You're not really a winner if you're sharing it with another person, so I'm only going to give one. There's only one Daddy Cash crown to be awarded here. It's as simple as that. So, the nominees for Winger of the Year were Dallin Watene-Zelezniak, Jermaine Asako, Brian To'o, Dominic Young, Selwyn Cobbo, and Ronaldo Mulitalo. Now, Brian To'o is an honourable mention. Watene-Zelezniak, honourable mention. Dominic Young was a try-scoring machine, but he made a lot of errors as well. Selwyn Cobbo, once again, try-scoring machine, but defensive deficiencies, I can't give it to him. Ronaldo Mulitalo, just not. Yeah, I wouldn't even have him in the conversation. I'm a Sharks man, Sharks supporter, but I'm sorry, Ronaldo, you're not even in the conversation in my mind. I have to take into consideration once again the entire season, and a player who just a standout in his own squad, punching above their weight. I am giving Winger of the Year Jermaine Asako. He did it all. He scored tries. He saved tries. He kicked the goals. He was a one-man wrecking crew for a big chunk of the season, and taking that all into consideration, Winger of the Year, a brand new club at the end of that back line, chicken salad and all that. Jermaine Asako, my Winger of the Year. Yes, indeed. There we go. Congratulations, Jermaine Asako. All right, and the last, but certainly not least, the last Daddy Cash crown, Fullback of the Year. James Tedesco, Dylan Edwards, Kalen Ponga. I think this will come as absolutely no surprise to anybody. We don't even need to talk about this too much. Mr. Reliable himself. Okay, he didn't have the greatest of games tonight in the live stream that we just did for the Pacific Championship opener. Dylan Edwards out of position, mind you. Out of position, but I think he will be a little bit disappointed with the performance that he threw out tonight. But over the course of the season, Mr. Reliable, he's one of the first names on any team sheet, whether you're picking club level, representative level, still the first name that you're having up there. He is the Panthers' defensive organizer. Safe under the high ball. Meters made. Returning the footy. I mean, he's all over everything. Dylan Edwards, I mean, Fullback of the Year. An argument could be made for Player of the Year, but this is Fullback of the Year. Give the man his juice. Hands down, I mean, not even in question. Standout, Fullback of the Year, Dylan Edwards. That was probably the easiest to pick, and that's why I purposely left Fullback until last. Because for mine, that was the absolute easiest to pick in the Daddy Cash crowns. All right. Wow. I did not expect to go for an hour on this stream. I really didn't. I thought this was going to be a short and sweet filler, a little bit of filler material for the channel members only. I honestly didn't expect to drone on for as long as I did. So let's very quickly talk about, okay, what might season 2024 hold? I'm going to throw way too early predictions out there. For mine, it's hard to see anything but the Panthers winning again. And I know that that's going to pain a lot of people to hear. But I can't see anything but the Panthers winning again in 2024. They've kept the core of their group together. They're potentially going to fall over in the centres. Isaac Tungo has had a really disastrous back end of 2023, and it carried over tonight as well in the game that we saw, Kangaroos versus Samoa. Tungo was a big liability in defence once again. So that could potentially carry over. It really could. But honestly, I just don't see anything but a Panthers victory again, save from a huge outbreak of injuries or something to pop up unexpectedly and run the Panthers off the rails. Outside of that, though, I can't see how it's anything but a Panthers victory again in season 2024, and that will make a lot of people extremely unhappy. I'm certain, but it just is what it is. I can't see any other way. One of the biggest movers will be the Bulldogs. I've been predicting this now for quite a few seasons, so even a broken clock gets the time right every once in a while, as they say. You know, a blind squirrel will find a nut eventually. And I've been predicting it for quite a few seasons now that the Bulldogs will finally be back into finals footy. So keep an eye on that. And let's say another really way too early bold prediction is the Broncos don't even make the 8 next year. That will be the last bold prediction. So Panthers for the premiership again, take that to the bank. The Bulldogs, the blind squirrels finally find the nut, and they're back in finals footy. And I think the Broncos, I think, struggle to make the 8, but I put an asterisk next to that. That is pending the release of the draw, because the draw might get released and they have 102 games at Suncorp again next year. Who knows? Only time will tell that. It's too early to tell, but just on face value, without seeing any of that, that's my way too early bold predictions for season 2024. Wasted World of Sports channel members, thank you so much. It was a little bit of fun. I hope you enjoyed this tonight. Channel members only chat. Thank you very much for your support throughout the course of the year, and I apologize that I didn't do more stuff like this, especially at more reasonable hours. Like, I understand this one's obviously been a little bit quiet, but it's also like 11 o'clock at night. So, look, I will definitely endeavor to be more active for members-only stuff in future. That's all I can promise. That's all I can really promise to try and address, is that I'll try and be more organised and a bit better with members-exclusive content in the future. Thank you very much, though, for joining me for this one. It was very impromptu. It really was. So I appreciate your company, as always. And, hey, on the Wasted World of Sports, I'll be back in a couple of hours. Time, the Rugby World Cup finals are kicking off. Quarterfinal number 1, Wales versus Argentina. And then later on in the night, Ireland versus the All Blacks. Here on the Wasted World of Sports, big weekend of action coming up. As I said, I hope you enjoyed this one. I honestly didn't expect to drone on for 75 minutes with this bollocks. I really can't believe that I went for so long, but here we are. Anyway, I suppose it's a bit like that. When you get talking and you get on a few tangents and, yeah, you just kind of drone on and don't even realize how long you're kind of bollocking on for. But, wow, yeah, 75 minutes was definitely not the plan for this one. So congratulations for the 3 of you that made it to the end. Very much appreciate it. And, hey, yeah, as I said, I'll catch you guys very soon. If you decide to stay up for the Rugby World Cup quarterfinals. Otherwise, we'll catch you next time on the Wasted Water Sports. Some more Rugby League coming up tomorrow, if that's your thing. The Pacific Championships continue. Cook Islands versus Fiji, I think it is. I'm not too certain. I'll have to check that out. You'd think I would know. I should know that. But anyway. Thank you very much, Wasted Water Sports channel members, and I will catch you next time. Until then, cheers. Congratulations to all the Daddy Cash Award winners as well. That's a solid team. If we actually put that team out, that's a very solid looking team, I reckon. I bloody ended it and I'm still talking. Unreal. Thank you all.